Oh my God, I've literally tried to film this video like 3 times, and yesterday it didn't work. I don't know where my file went. It just was deleted off my camera. And earlier this morning, I filmed it, but I guess my microphone wasn't attached, so now I'm doing this video for the 3rd time. But I did want to share, I've been making coffee for like 3 years on my own through a French press. And just 2 weeks ago, I learned, oh my God, I need a jacket. Hold on, thought. I learned for the French press, you're literally supposed to like stir the coffee up before you press it down. And so now I've like actually learned how to make coffee. So before we get started on this video, if you wanna just like, comment, subscribe, it helps the channel. That would be really appreciated. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about 4 different things that you can do to help grow your business for photography or videography in 2021. And these are just, these are tips that you can use whether we're in a global pandemic or whether we're not in a global pandemic. So it's kind of interchangeable. I know this year has been really, really hard for everyone. But in particular, creative people, or I know people are either working or they're not. And I'd say most people's work is kind of limited in some way, shape, or form. And while I think the pandemic has been devastating for this industry in general, I do think that it's going to lead to some important changes that we want to talk about. And so I'm happy to walk through some of these 4 tips that I don't think are going to go anywhere and I think can grow your business in 2021. So number 1 is don't wait for business to come to you. This is, regardless if there is a pandemic or there's not, don't wait for that business to come to you. Reach out, be proactive, start emailing businesses. If you know that there's a small business down your street that you want to work with, send them a business card, write to them on Instagram, get their email if you can, or just talk to the store manager. Making sure that you're being proactive in your interactions and going out there and looking for that business that you want to create is the right way to go. There's a ton of need for storytelling right now in a virtual way, but this need isn't just gonna go away. If you think about how all of the businesses have had to adapt over the last 10 months to provide or to advertise their business online where they may have not had to do that before, my suspicion is that when vaccines start to roll out and we kind of recover from this, businesses are going to continue to have that presence online to make up for the business that they didn't have before. So whereas some people might have been teaching, online classes, when they go back to physical classes, my suspicion is that those virtual classes are going to keep going because they now have a wider circle of business and audience that they need to appeal to. And that's going to help them regenerate their revenue that they may have lost throughout this 10 months. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about where you want to insert yourself in a business. Like, try to get out of the mindset of like, everything's going to go back to normal. No, I think we're seeing a paradigm shift in how business operates, and you want to seize this moment right now to be able to put your foot in that door. So never be afraid to reach out. You never know what businesses like might want to think about when it comes to like visual storytelling, and you can kind of help them define that space. It never hurts to ask. And right now, I think there's a lot of businesses that could use this kind of form to help them reach wider people. So just keep that in mind for 2021. The other thing I'd say, especially, if you're just starting out your career in this and you want to get more, recognition or street cred or whatever, is like work with influencers. I can't tell you how many times when I was just starting in New York that I spent morning after morning after morning sending emails to brands, thinking and hoping like, oh, they'd see it. Like, they might. If it's a small company, they really might. If it's, if you're sending emails to Nike, like, it's gonna be, they might see it, but my guess is like, they're probably not. So the second best way to do that is to work with influencers. And I think influencers are really good in that they already have relationships with these people. So whereas, you would be cold calling somebody if you had to send an email out to a brand, this influencer already has a relationship with that brand or somebody at that brand that then can advocate for your work. So you're not just building a relationship with somebody who's inside or who's working inside a brand, but you know that that brand, if you're working with that influencer, is going to see your work. And if you produce really good work, that becomes a foot in the door for working with that brand on a contract for a clothing shoot or anything. I mean, really, it could be anything. There's all types of influencers nowadays. So just, you know, if you need like a qualified lead to put you in the right place with the business, go with influencers. And I will say, just a quick note on that, because I do think that there's a fine line between collaborating and getting taken advantage of. If you're working with somebody and it's, you know, a mutual, like, I'll produce collateral for you if you can like help me develop a relationship, that's one thing. But I do know, and I've had this experience myself, where it's like you'll work with an influencer and the promise or the return is like social capital, and you won't ever see that return. You know, just because an influencer posts your photo doesn't mean that you're gonna get followers, and followers very, very rarely convert to revenue. So just keep that in mind. You wanna make sure that you're building your brand, but that you're not getting taken advantage of. So if a collab doesn't feel like it's a two-way street and you are putting in, I mean, because you've invested into your equipment, you've invested into your training, and that is time and money. And you know, you just want to be mindful of like not being taken advantage of in that way. Other than that, I think they're a great way to just build relationships with people and brands, and get your work out there to a wider audience. And I also think that you would be hard-pressed to find influencers who don't need content or who aren't looking for different types of content. So if you have an aesthetic and you have, you know, you can offer something that's different, but, you know, might fit the image of what their work is. The other thing I'd say is like create specs. Now is the time to create specs. If you're out of work, like you have nothing else to lose, specs are really good in just expanding your portfolio. If you need, you know, if you're like, for me, I'm mostly a documentary, you know, film person. I don't even know what my niche is, but like anywhere between the like 2.5, 3 minute campaign video, I guess that's what I am, like a social media campaign producer. But anywhere within that 2 or 3 minute like campaign video that talks about a certain cause or certain anything like that, like I have so much of that in my portfolio. What I don't have are like commercials. Not to say that I, you know, am interested so much in commercials. I would do anything that would pay my bills at this point. But I need something on my website, on my page, that shows, hey, I can do this. And so now if you're out of work and you're not, you know, you're trying to look for more clients, people are gonna define you by kind of what you post. So you're gonna keep getting that work. Like I did a music video. I do these like music videos for fun every now and then. I like get music video requests all the time, even though I don't really shoot music videos. But like, if you want to be seen in a certain way, you have to start putting that content out. And so not only are spec commercials a good way to come into a meeting with a brand saying, hey, this is what I can do for you. This is the vision that I have, or this is how I think you could represent your idea. But it's also a good way of defining how you want people to see you and your content making skills. So I think spec commercials are great. I would think, you know, if you have so much time now's the time to do that. Build your portfolio up, build your reel up, and use it when you're talking and trying to make relationships with clients. The last thing I'd say is keep your relationships. Like the pandemic has created such a distance from people, but you still want to maintain contact with the people that you may have worked with. Even your friends. Like you never know who could give you business. It could be friends, could be family, it could be like random people you met 2 years ago that now know you do videos and like love your stuff and follow you secretly on your Instagram. Like you want to just keep your relationships with people good. I would say for me, especially when you get a job, make sure that communication, that the whole process is easy for them, because that in most cases will determine where your guaranteed next job will come from. I do get a lot of business from my Instagram page, from my website, but I know I will always continue to get business from people that I work with if they have a positive experience. If you are like within your circle of people that shoot or make content or whatever, chances are like that business is gonna think of you when somebody else asks of, hey, that was a really great video. We're looking for somebody to do the same. Like, make sure that that contact is great. Keep in touch with them, ask them how they're doing, give them business. If there's like, a coffee shop that you want to make something for, visit them, check them out, give them business, talk to them about working with them. 100%, like, referrals are so important to building organic business. And one project will, in most cases, always lead to more projects, so just try to stay open to that. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I think what we're seeing is a shift in how business is done. And so I don't think that this sort of like, I am a small business, I only do brick and mortar things. I seriously doubt that we're ever going back to that. So I do think there's gonna be an increased need for visual storytelling, which is great for you. So this is how I would get ahead of that right now. It's not too late. Obviously, we still have a long way to go before we're out of this pandemic. But anything you can do right now is an investment later on, and that's how I would think about it. That's gonna kind of wrap it up for me here. I think this is obviously a really challenging time. So if you're struggling and you've had a hard time, you've been affected by this pandemic, sorry. My heart goes out to you, and I want, I'm hoping that all of you can stay safe, all of you can stay positive, try to find things and do things that make you happy. That now of all times is the time to do that. And thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe, wear a mask, protect your community, and keep creating. All right, thanks guys.